After the fall of Rome, who were the barbarian successor kingdoms? After the Western Roman Empire collapsed in the 5th century, multiple small states formed in the ruins. How successful were the so-called barbarian kingdoms, and how Roman was they? In the 4th and 5th centuries CE, the Roman Empire was flooded with Germanic warriors who split the Western Empire into a series of successor kingdoms. While this period is sometimes known as the Dark Ages, the pattern of cultural change was complex and region-specific. Most of those who took part in the so-called barbarian invasions admired the Roman Empire and sought to emulate the Roman way of life. From the Vandal Renaissance in North Africa to the law codes of Visigoth Spain, many aspects of old Roman life were retained for some time in these new kingdoms. Other regions changed more rapidly, losing their vibrant urban culture for many centuries, and all the Western kingdoms were negatively impacted by long-lasting political instability. After the fall of Rome, a few of these new states achieved great longevity, while others would have a very brief heyday, before collapsing into dust. Here is a brief introduction to the 5 major barbarian successor states. The Germanic Vandals who participated in the fall of Rome, settled in the Roman provinces in Africa, creating a short-lived but prosperous kingdom there. The Vandals had once been on positive terms with Rome, after a peace agreement made during the reign of Marcus Aurelius, and some of them had been granted lands in the Roman province of Pannonia, under Constantine I. During the barbarian invasions of the 5th century, however, the Vandals became Rome's enemies, crossing the Rhine border in 406 to loot the empire, along with many other opportunistic tribes. Finding the provinces of Gaul and Hispania by now quite crowded with other roving warbands, the Vandals took the chance to cross from Spain to North Africa in 429. When in Africa, they slowly spread across the continent, absorbing most of the Roman provinces there. While the Western Roman government tried to broker a deal to make them subjects of the empire, the Vandals soon established themselves as an independent power. The Vandals attempted to maintain a close relationship with late Roman Italy anyway, but they would end up sacking Rome itself in 455 when this arrangement was threatened by a change of emperors. Italy relied heavily on grain from Africa to feed its citizens, and the late Roman government would attempt to reclaim the region but failed miserably. The Vandals' long history of contact with the Romans would have a profound influence on their way of life, and despite their far-flung origins, the Vandals took to their new lifestyle on the African coast with gusto. After capturing some of the most important seaports in the Mediterranean, including Carthage, the brand new Vandal navy became a force to be reckoned with, seemingly overnight. So much so that the Old English word for the Mediterranean is the Wendelsee. The Vandals' new maritime venture made them quite wealthy, providing them with the luxurious Roman lifestyle they so desired. While undoubtedly most of this wealth came from the raw materials and the trade in luxuries that Roman North Africa had once been famous for, the Vandals also gained a bit of a reputation for piracy. Bolstered by their newfound wealth, Vandal Africa emerged as one of the most successful, and one of the most Roman of the barbarian successor states. In stark contrast to the rest of the crumbling Roman Empire, the population of North Africa went up, not down. Time when towns were being abandoned in the West, archaeological studies of North Africa revealed that many Roman public buildings, such as baths and palaces, were expanded and repaired, and private dwellings such as Roman townhouses were built and rebuilt, in an effort to keep up the lavish Roman lifestyle. Vandal North Africa was in fact so culturally Romanized that we know very little about the Vandals themselves. The new rulers kept most aspects of Roman provincial government, including the Roman taxation system, and they continued to employ local African staff. Intellectual life also continued in Africa to some extent. The Vandal aristocracy sponsored Latin poets just as the Romans had done, during a period that is sometimes known as the Vandal Renaissance. These poets, such as Luxurius, give us a glimpse of the highly Romanized culture of the Vandal kingdom in their verses. In spite of their many successes, the Vandals gained a poor reputation, partly because they adopted heretical Arian Christianity, and persecuted Catholic Christians with great vigor. Using religion as a pretext for invasion, the Byzantines would soon descend on North Africa, reconquering the region in 534. The Ostrogoths were one of the Germanic tribes who settled in the Balkans during the barbarian invasions of the 4th and 5th centuries CE. Before long they had united under King Theodoric, who took his armies to Italy in 490, conquering the vulnerable and by now a war-torn peninsula. The last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, had recently been deposed by another Romano-barbarian general, King Odoacer. After the fall of Rome, the exasperated Eastern Roman Emperor Zeno asked Theodoric to reconquer Italy, in a bid to get the Ostrogoths to leave his own lands and rid himself of the troublesome Italian king at the same time.